Is it 10:30? Ooh, I'm on. Ooh. Hello, everyone. It is sure beautiful and wonderful to be home. I'm so glad to be here with you today. As many of you know me, but if you don't, I'm Catherine the Grateful, and I'm a minister here at Jubilee, a minister of movement. So we'll be offering some movement prayer today, which I'm very excited to do. But I'd like to start off by just inviting us all to turn to someone here and welcome each other. So make some eye contact and greet one another. Welcome. Woo. Beautiful. And so a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. If you could make sure your phone are silenced or on airplane mode, we would greatly appreciate it. It keeps the Wi-Fi. We're streaming out into the cosmic realm. Hello if you're joining us on Facebook or YouTube. But if you'll turn those phones off or put them on airport mode, it ensures that the stream goes out widely. So thank you for that. So I'm here today to welcome you to the celebration. We are deep in Via Negativa, and that, of course, is when we return into the darkness. We go in to really opening to the stillness and opening to the emptiness, the mystery of what is in this time of the year. And of course, it's such a beautiful time. I came home this weekend and was able to go out into the forest and into the mountains and see those falling leaves and all the shimmering colors of red and gold and yellow. And it's truly a sublime and beautiful, even ecstatic time to be here and to be a resident of these sacred mountains. I know we're all taking that opportunity in. And today, as we kind of dive into the path of the mystics, we are opening to Teresa of Avila, or Saint Teresa of Jesus. And she, of course, was a Spanish mystic of the 16th century and someone very near and dear to my heart, as she really embodied the ecstasy of God, the knowing of God in an embodied state, where she talks at great length about the rapture, about the incredible sensation that is all through the body in the knowing of God. And she talks a little about this through the paths that she uses: a devotion to the heart for contemplation, a devotion to peace, to surrendering to God, a devotion to the union, and a devotion to the ecstasy. Speaking of ecstasy, here comes the man who embodies ecstasy in every step, Mr. Al Hager. Hi. It's good to see you. I'm giving you a hug. Oh, yeah. Welcome. And so we're really going to be bringing that in, and we do that here at Jubilee. If you're new to Jubilee, we open to the ecstasy of knowing God here every week in our celebration. We open to it with the songs we sing and with the dances we dance. We open just in the coming together in this circle of love. And St. Teresa reminds us that love more and do what stirs us to love. And that's what we do when we come together each week here to celebrate. So with that, I'd like to invite us all to stand, and we're going to open singing our way into the mystic.
In the midst of the morning, we open to all of the gifts of the day. We open our hearts to let it all in and give it all back in our way. Let us sing of beauty around us. Let us sing of beauty.
Good morning, Jubilee. Well, it's so wonderful to come back, and it's just for a moment, if you will, this as we get ready to go into the darkness, let's make sure we don't go there empty-handed, and kind of go there again, if you would, just kind of go back in time with me, in that third eye, or whatever that energy is that you store this place of memory, or to take that journey back into a time where, in this dark time, whenever we get ready to rest and hibernate, like the bear on the back of my vest here, getting ready to that time where we're fattening up our stores in our recess for these cold, hard winter months. So what memories and what energies and what loves are you going to bring with you to get you through this winter? What is this great mystery bringing to you? What are the gifts of the unknown that are being shared with you at this time? So in that time, let's turn to those that have asked that question before, many times before us, and face to the east. Oh, spirits of the east, we thank you. We thank you for this time of the sun and the darkness. We thank you for the opportunity to know that even in this darkness, there is great life and light in our spirit and in our hearts. Know that we come to you as one people, one community, and one tribe of this earth to to honor you and thank you. We ask you to sustain us in this time with your warmth and your remembrance of things old and ancient and new in a good way. Oh, face to the south, please. Oh, spirits of the south, to all the living beings of the water nation, we thank you. We thank you for all the rains and the cloud people and the thunder beings. We thank you for the richness of the oceans of the earth. We thank you for the relief of the tears that we cry, whether it's in laughter or sadness, or sometimes we don't even know why, but we honor your presence in our life. It surrounds us, that is us. Know that we're in such gratitude for your presence. In a good way, come celebrate. I hope. Face to the west, please. Oh, spirits of the west, to all those that have gone before, we thank you. We thank you for keeping the home fires warm for us. We thank you for carrying the dreams and the visions that lived in your heart and spirit of the ancestors before. And thank you for continuing to be that light for us. Help us to remember in the ancient way, for the ancient future that's coming to us. Thank you for all that you have given in a good way. Face to the north, please. Oh, spirits of the north, we thank you for this cool, brisk wind that's been blowing in our spirits. It's been clearing out those small corners of edginess that we might be trying to hide in. Thank you for exposing our vulnerabilities. Thank you for lifting up out of those places so that only light can live inside of us. We thank you, Wind Nation, for each and every breath and all the breath of nature. We as one indigenous people of this earth, thank you. Thank you for the one breath and connecting us to all things. In a good way, come be with us. Oh. Face the center, please. Thank you. Thank you for your greatness, all the ancestors that have come before, all the ancestors to come. Know that in this moment, with each heartbeat and each breath, we give the best of ourselves, the best of our hopes and our prayers for the next generations as we honor all of those that have come before in a good way.
Open my eyes that I may see glimpses of truth thou hast warned me. Open my eyes, illumine me. Spirit love of my life, I am crying, I am not dying, I am dancing, dancing along in the madness. There is no sadness, only a song of my soul, and we'll sing this song, and we will sing the song, and we can sing for a long, long time. Why don't you sing this song? Why don't you sing along, everybody? Come on. And we can sing for a long, long time. What do you do for your living? Are you forgiving? and you can feel it, and sing a song of the soul, and we'll sing a song. Why don't you sing along, and we can sing for a long, long time. Why don't you sing a song? Why don't you sing along, and we can sing for a long, long time. Love of my life, I am crying, I am not dying, I am dancing, dancing along in the madness. There's no sadness, only a song of the soul. Come on, sing this song. Why don't you sing along, and we can sing for a long, long time. Why don't you sing this song? Why don't you sing along, and we can sing for a long, long time.
Beautiful. Thank you. And if you didn't get the memo, we're feeding the hungry during that song. So if I didn't cue it at the beginning, feel free to throw something in the basket. Jubilee has been feeding the hungry and those in need around Western North Carolina for over 30 years. So all that money goes directly to service. So thank you. And next, Jubilee in action. Michelle.
Is this on? Oh, it is. Good. Cool. Okay, so November 17th. Oh, hello, everybody. It's been one of those days. You don't even want, actually, it's been one of those weeks. November 17th at 7 p.m., Laura Collins is going to host a community Zoom meeting to reflect on her work here and our path ahead. Details are to come. Reminder that the book club is now meeting every Monday in the hospitality room from 12:30 to 2 p.m. The Braiding Sweetgrass is the book that we're reading, and Diane DeWitt is the contact person. And like all the information in Jubilee in Action, actually, I should have put a slide up. Well, it's on the back of your things. It's all on the website. November 30th at 6:30 p.m., there's a free online workshop on how to have respectful conversations with folks you disagree with. November 12th at 7:30, there's drumming and dancing led by African djembe master Bolakata Kande, and Vicky Garlock, who is also playing drums that night, is the contact person for that if you want to buy tickets early. Schedule your gifts for the season of light with Laura Collins, never too early to think about the holiday season. Contact Nan Woodward if you would like to help count out the donations on Sundays. Pretty easy deal. She's got her hand up over there. And something that's not on there is that Laura's last Sunday with us is the 21st, which some of you know. And we're going to create a tribute video and a gratitude page for her on the website like we did for Jackie and Daniel. And the details on how you will be on the homepage probably tomorrow or Tuesday. Okay, that is it, and now Laura has some things to talk about.
Gotta look around to see who all is here. Oh, Terry wants to make an announcement too, or you're just ready for the next thing? Okay, great. So this week, we have someone who's been with us for several weeks, but we get to officially welcome him as our new band leader. And so I want to say welcome to Ryan Crabtree. If you have not had the chance to look at the bio that was in this week's e-news, it's now on our website, I really encourage you to get to know Ryan. You know, Asheville is blessed with lots and lots of amazing musicians, and Ryan is right up there with one of them. And Ryan, would you like to say a word?
Sure, thanks so much for the kind words. Yeah, I'm just starting here with Daniel, who left some very big shoes to fill. Everybody's just been so great, welcoming, and it's been a great treat to collaborate with everybody so far, and I'm just looking forward to more of it. And yeah, this has just been a really great experience for me, so I'm just, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. And I think Gretchen's here too. Gretchen, raise your hand or stand up. Gretchen Hinn, many of you know, longtime Jubilee, has stepped in as our bookkeeper. There were some things, we were trying to hire an outside bookkeeper, and they had all these questions, and we had all these like idiosyncrasies because we're Jubilee. And we said, and Gretchen just jumped in and said, let me help with some of that. And so Gretchen is our new bookkeeper. Woo! It's a thankless job, except when the staff get paid, we're very thankful. So I just want to say that not only have these folks stepped up, but one of the things that we've suddenly got was lots of people interested in these jobs that we've been trying to fill. And it creates, on the one hand, some tension, like, wow, a lot of people are interested. But also, it's like, wow, a lot of people are interested, and it feels so good. So thank you to everyone who's been stepping up, and thank you especially to Gretchen and to Ryan.
Good morning, Jubilee. I found that some words of Teresa of Avila were set by a member of the Taizé community, so we chose that for the singer's gift for this morning. So this is set as a meditation, so we're singing the same text over and over again a number of times with some additional words overlaid as solos on top of it. So what I did was, because it's in Spanish, I went ahead and did the English translation on the screen as we're starting the first repetition, and as the new text from the soloist comes in. Otherwise, I want you to sink into the meditation and enjoy. Thank you.
Molly Pritchard and friends put together this amazing altar. And every quarter, all 5 of our Jubilee quarters, we change up the altar. We don't have one of those permanent altars. And as we know, right now, the leaves are just, they're there. This might be the weekend. You better get out. You better get out, because next weekend, that could be it. Nothing is permanent. Nothing is permanent. Those leaves right now, this time of year, they teach us that. Teresa of Avila said, pain is never permanent. Tell that to a 3-year-old who gets a boo-boo. They think it's permanent. Tell that to a marginalized community that has been suffering for generations. Pain is never permanent. Perhaps that could be a statement of work. Pain could possibly be lifted from a state of permanence. Jubilee has been amazing in our work of alleviating pain and allowing things to blow in the wind, to clear, to see things for as they are, to go out into the world, to let God's work be done through our hands, hard though it may be. The wind blows, the trees in their skeletal forms are revealed. Might not be pretty, but it is what it is. Perhaps our work will be revealed through Teresa, through all these wonderful mystics that we've been learning. Jubilance as the fall approaches, and as daylight savings time tries to trip us up, and the nights grow darker, our work is just beginning. I invite you during this prayer time to light candles at the western wall. Yona is holding space. Breathe deeply, and ring and sing your bowls and bells. Just silence. Breath. Receive our prayer. Amen. No.
Breathe deeply. We're going to share our holy peace together now.
All shall be well. All shall be well. On earth things shall be well.
Mm. Saint Teresa is all about coming inward in order to really feel the ecstasy. And she got so ecstatic, in fact, that she is known to have levitated. Now, I can't promise that we're going to levitate when we leave today, but who knows? Crazier things have happened here at Jubilee. So we want to actually offer a gift today. Very excited to have my friend Madeline Ilana here. She's an amazing singer, songwriter, healer, and I would say mystic. And I heard this song a couple of days ago. She was launching an Indiegogo for her new album, and I played about a minute of it and just felt like Saint Teresa was in this song. And so I reached out to her and said, I'm offering a gift of movement today. Could you come in and offer this new song live, and I'll move with it. And she graciously accepted. So I will be offering a dance prayer. And the invitation to each and every one of you is to actually move with me. So I really want to invite you, if you haven't danced your prayers before, if something has stopped you from really moving as you pray, you don't have to be a certain age, and you certainly don't have to be a dancer. I started dancing when I was 36 after being very inspired, seeing dancers like Anne and Barry dancing here at Jubilee for many years. But the invitation with dance prayer is to simply first listen to the music and then perhaps invite a part of your body, it could be your hand, a finger, to simply move with the music. And if that feels good, you can invite another part of your body to move. And if you feel so called, you can stand. You can even move out into the aisles and get a little room to move. So you can move as if no one's watching you, or you can move as if everyone is watching you. Who knows? But the invitation is really to invite a little bit of movement, a little bit of embodiment in at this moment while I move as well. And if you'd like to follow along with some of my movements, you're welcome. If you'd like to sit quietly and really go deep with Madeline, you're also welcome to do that. So listen to your body's way and connect. But there is an invitation, if you feel so called, to move with us. Madeline, is there anything you'd like to share about this song, Coming into the Light? Welcome.
The one thing that I do want to share is that a few of the lyrics from this song were inspired by Rumi's poem, The Guest House, which many of you know, it seems like. And just to paraphrase, so the chorus is, I'm coming home, coming into the light, greeting all my beasts before coming inside. I welcome all parts of you like guests in the night. Maybe they'll clear us out for some new delight. So as many of you know, his poem states, whatever comes knocking at your door, whether it's a joy, a sorrow, a madness, an ecstatic levitation, greet it as though it's a guest of honor. And even if this guest comes sweeping your house of all the furniture, it may be clearing you out for some new delight. Your hands look like mine. Father's hands spin me around. Make me a bowl of clay. And empty me out of all the stories in my brain. They're weighing me down, and they're not real anyway. your earthen hands, holding me close. Remind me how to worship. Whisper, it's alright to cry. The bubbling spring says to listen. We must learn to be quiet. Coming home, coming into the light, greeting all my beasts before coming inside. I welcome all parts of you, like guests in the night. Maybe they'll clear us out for some new delight. One more time, if you want to wail, you can. I loved when you told me the way that you love me. I move so slowly, I can hear you speak silently.
Y'all came on a good Sunday. All right, we've already been hearing a lot about Teresa of Avila, but here's some more words of hers. This beloved of ours is merciful and good. Besides, he so deeply longs for our love that he keeps calling us to come closer. For now, his voice reaches us through words spoken by good people, through listening to spiritual talks, through reading spiritual literature. God calls to us in countless little ways all the time. Through illness and suffering and through sorrow, God calls us. Through a truth glimpsed fleetingly in a state of prayer, God calls to us. No matter how half-hearted such insights may be, God rejoices whenever we learn what God is trying to teach us. The important thing is not to think much, but to love much, and so do that which best stirs you to love. And from the 23rd Psalm, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. She makes me lie down in green pastures and leads me beside still waters. She restores my soul. He leads me in right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, and my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. This is ancient wisdom and holy word.
Thanks be to all that is wise and holy.
All creation is wisdom and holy word.
All creation sings of wisdom and God.
Hallelujah. These are the times that try men's souls. Maybe some women's too. Thus wrote Thomas Paine 6 months after the Declaration of Independence was signed. He was writing at a time when there was no clarity about how to move forward with this American experiment. People involved in the move from independence from Britain were fighting amongst themselves and arguing over what should have been done, what coulda, shoulda, woulda been done, all while they needed to be coming together to create a united front, to figure out what their next steps were and to respond to Britain's military reaction to their declaration. And when this phrase appeared, George Washington's troops were encamped on the Delaware River. Now, in August, they had suffered humiliating defeats and lost New York City to the British troops. Between September and December of that year, 11,000 American volunteers gave up the fight and returned to their families. Into these circumstances, Paine wrote a rousing call for courage and perseverance. But first, he spoke of the panic he saw sweeping the nation. "'Tis surprising to see how rapidly a panic will sometimes run through this country." Right? All nations and ages have been subject to them, yet panic, in some cases, have their uses. They produce as much good as hurt. Their duration is always short. The mind soon grows through them and acquires a firmer habit than before. But their peculiar advantage is that they are touchstones and bring things and people to light, which might otherwise have lain forever undiscovered. Now, putting aside for a moment, and it's no small thing to put this aside, the settler colonialism that these words were supporting, it is curious how current they sound. And at the risk of sounding maybe a little melodramatic, Paine's words remind me a bit of what's going on around here right now. Jubilee's independence was not so much declared as compelled by Howard's retirement. But through it, Jubilee was roused to declare who you are. And then you suffered some humiliating defeats, including a global pandemic well beyond your control. As with Washington's troops, a bunch of folks gave up and went home. And now, more than 2 years into these changes, some panic has ensued, with plenty of blame to go around. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. But what if this whole adventure, from Howard's announcement of his retirement to me moving on in 2 weeks, is not just a weed 'em out Sunday, but a weed 'em out era? What if the panic over the future of this community is a touchstone, as Paine suggested, for seeing what we really value? Was it just Howard? Well, if so, then let's, with thanksgiving and joy for what used to be, say, good job, and close up shop. Was it just the music? Fortunately for us, we live in a city full of great music, so party on. Or was it some magical combination of the music and the message that will never be quite the same as it was before? Well, we can let the nostalgia flow, but don't expect that flow to carry you very far into the future. What if it's something else? Something that has to do with this community of people and the beliefs we share. We do share some. What if it's that unique combination we have of honoring Jesus and honoring the earth and honoring all of creation and honoring other religious, during your own unique journeys of faith? What if it's this desire to join with others in social justice and earth justice and economic justice? There are dozens of wonderful local nonprofits working on those things, but what if touching on several of them within this context of faith brings its own kind of energy? Focusing not just on one area, the climate crisis or the housing crisis, but seeing connections between all of them and the love that weaves our hearts through each. What if Jubilee is about leaning in together to trust in the shepherd who makes us lie down in green pastures, who leads us beside still waters, who restores our souls, who leads us in right paths, who leads us through dark places and anoints us? What if what we need is not just the exact right next leader or the perfect musical combination or a way forward in this big expensive building or the perfect form of governance? What if what we need is that shepherd who leads us, who restores us, and dare I say it, who saves us? Saves us from ourselves and our own panics. Saves us from our nostalgia for the past and our certainty about what should come next. Saves us from our own good ideas, even. What? I used to be part of a prayer group where one of the questions that we would ask each other in times of discernment is this a calling or just a good idea? Because it's not the bad ideas that really throw us off the wrong paths. Those are easier to see. It's the good ones, if that's all they are, good ideas, but not really our calling. Creating the time and the energy in our lives, both personal and collective, for what we most desire is not just a matter of taking the things off our plate that we don't like. The harder part is taking the things off our plate that we do like. To let go of the good stuff, to make room for the better stuff. The stuff of dreams and visions and vocation. Making room for what is most important, most precious, most God-drenched requires hard choices. Discernment, decisions, discipline. Now, 3 weeks ago, some of you were here when I invited us to immerse ourselves, body and soul, into the impassioned, erotic experiences of Hafiz with the beloved. Why not, we asked, have an orgasmic experience of the whole? 2 weeks ago, I invited us to ground ourselves in the simple daily practices of Brother Lawrence, being utterly present to whatever task is at hand, with the promise that even the most tedious task can be done with such great love that it brings deep joy. Last week, Jay invited us into that liminal space between life and death, asking, what if we courageously lived toward death, accepting that decay is a bright facet of fertility? This week, Teresa guides us in uniting all of these invitations. So Catherine referenced her levitation and her fourfold process of devotion. So let me remind you of those 4 parts. The first is the devotion of the heart. And this consists of mental prayer, contemplation, devout meditation on a person or Christ, devout focus. In the second, the devotion of peace, the human will is surrendered to God through a heightened awareness of grace. Although distraction might still happen, the prevailing state is one of serenity. That sound familiar? Surrendering to grace and finding serenity? Anybody 12-stepper here? You don't have to raise your hand. Next is devotion to union, or absorption in God. At this level, the mind is surrendered to God, and one is enfolded in a blissful peace and enraptured by the love of God. So we've got the mental focus, the surrendering of the will, then the surrendering of the mind, and finally the fourth, the devotion of ecstasy, is where the consciousness of being in the body disappears. Sensory faculties cease to operate, and the whole person is just absorbed into the absolute, as though intoxicated. It looks something like this. See her face? That's Teresa. If you go close up on that face, you might wonder what she's up to. Right? That's intentional. So contemplation, surrender of the will to grace, surrender of the mind to union, and finally complete ecstasy as one's whole being is absorbed into God. Teresa and Hafiz had some things in common, it seems. And of course, they're not alone. This idea of ecstatic connection to the divine, absorption in the absolute, and erotic surrender to the love above all loves has been expressed by many spiritual guides through various religious traditions. So maybe there's something to it, huh?
The way you make me feel, it really turns me on. You knock me off of my feet now, baby. All the days are gone.
So as I think about Jubilee and your future, I can think of lots of good ideas. And I am so excited, as I said earlier, to see how people are stepping up and stepping in. And you're stepping up with your own good ideas. The problem with good ideas is they tend to run out of steam after a while because they're competing in a world of good ideas. And luckily, the world is full of good ideas. That's the good news. But it's sort of easy to bounce from one to another. So if the future of Jubilee does not rest in some of your good ideas, or even figuring out who has the best idea, where does it reside? What if the future of Jubilee depends on our surrender into the hands of God? It sounds good, but that's hard enough to do as an individual. How in the heck do we do it collectively? What if the way forward for Jubilee and for our world is not so much finding the right leaders, or the right structure, or the right ideas, or the right anything, but falling so deeply in love, so deeply in love with God, that we can patiently wait in God's presence, until the way becomes clear. Do you remember the first time you fell in love? So much in love that it really didn't matter what you were doing as long as you were together. You could be sitting at the DMV for hours, and that experience would be pure joy because you were leaning in, giggling, and there'd be a spark every time your knees touched. And you couldn't wipe that smile off your face, even if you tried.
The way you make me feel, you really turn me on. You knock me off my feet now, babe. Only days I know.
What if the future of Jubilee is like that? That you become so excited about a new direction that even the tedious parts become electrifying. Now, when Thomas Paine needed to motivate George Washington's depressed and disseminated troops, he didn't talk about military strategy. He talked about the big idea, the greater cause. He talked about independence from tyranny. He talked about freedom. 32 years ago, a big idea emerged from a small motley crew of Methodists. In those 32 years, a lot of amazing things have happened. Joyful, transformative, life-changing things have happened. Today's a new day. The world is different than it was 32 years ago or 2 years ago. Nashville is different than it was 32 years ago. Each of you are different than you were 32 years ago or whenever it was you first set foot in this funky little place called Jubilee. And Jubilee is different too. And the old is not coming back, folks. Lots of good ideas are floating around. But what if the only real task in front of you is falling so deeply in love? So deeply in love. Surrendering into the arms of love. That the next stage for Jubilee is more than a great idea. What if the next iteration of Jubilee is a brand new love story? One that turns you on. One that knocks you off your feet. One that makes you feel like you can change the world. Because you know what? You can. Never forget. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed individuals can change the world. And I would add, a small group of thoughtful, committed individuals who are so guided by love, capital L love, so surrendered to grace and trusting what's going to happen, so fueled by the Spirit that you can be turned on, lit up from within, glowing with possibility and sparking with enthusiasm. The important thing, Teresa wrote, is not to think much, but to love much. And so do that which best stirs you to love.
You make me feel, you really turn me on. You knock me off of my feet now, baby. My only days are gone. But the way you make me feel,
good way, again, in this gesture of giving and receiving of the energy that we contributed here, not only for the continuation of our future as a community, but also to give thanks for all of those that have come before in the past, for our presence here now, for those generations to come, to always be grateful in the moment.
Take a deep breath with me, please. Letting all the parts of today's ceremony land all through your body, all through your heart. We'll close today's service in prayer. Mother, Father God, be with us as we walk our journey through this week. May we be guided by the wisdom of Saint Teresa. May we open our hearts with peace and in union with God so that we may know true ecstasy, so that we may know the rapture of connection to all things. For we are divine beings in human form, allowing all that energy, all that oneness with creation to guide us this week through the week as we give thanks and praise to this place, to this home, to this living temple in which we get to make manifest all the beauty and all the power and all the possibility. Mother, Father God, stir us so that we may be guided forward with love, in love, moving forward in living temples, letting go of thinking too much, opening to loving more, opening to being guided by the presence of love. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's come together and close with a beautiful song.
Reach out your hand. If your cup be empty, if your cup is full, take me again. Let it be known.
Let it be known.
There is a fountain that was not made by the hands of men. There is a road, no simple highway between the dawn and the dark of night. And if you go,
Let it be known.
no one may follow. For your steps alone, reach out your hand.
Stretch your hand.
If your cup be empty, if love is full, take me again. Let it be known.
Let it be known.
There is a fountain that was not made by the hands of men. When the sun comes shining through, I know what's up to you, and you're out on the side of another day. say what they see.